Let's invite Dr. Nadraj Holiar to the stage to deliver his speech on the topic Gandhi and Socialism. വേദിയിൽ സ്വാഗതമോകുന്നു ശ്രീ മലയിൽ ബാലകൃഷ്ണൻ.
പ്രിയമുള്ള ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ടവരെ, നമ്മുടെ ഗാന്ധി ഫെസ്റ്റിൻ്റെ 3-ാം ദിവസമായ 9ാമത്തെ സെഷനാണ്. ഇവിടെ പ്രഭാഷണം ഗാന്ധി ആൻഡ് സോഷ്യലിസം എന്നതാണ്. ഗാന്ധി ഈസ് നോട്ട് എ ട്രഡീഷണൽ സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ്, ബട്ട് ഹിസ് ഐഡിയാസ് ഷെയർ സം സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് വിത്ത് സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾസ്. ഗാന്ധി ഒരു പരമ്പരാഗത സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് ആയിരുന്നില്ല, എന്നാൽ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ആശയങ്ങൾ പലതും സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് തത്വങ്ങളോട് കിടപിടിക്കുന്നതായിരുന്നു എന്ന് നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ കഴിയും. ഇവിടെ സമ്പത്തും വിഭവങ്ങളും വ്യക്തികളിൽ കേന്ദ്രീകരിക്കുന്നതിന് പകരം എല്ലാവർക്കും പ്രയോജനപ്പെടുന്ന രീതിയിൽ വിഭജിക്കപ്പെടണമെന്ന് ഗാന്ധി ആഗ്രഹിച്ചിരുന്നു. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സർവോദയ, ട്രസ്റ്റിഷിപ്പ്, സ്വയം പര്യാപ്തത, സാമൂഹ്യനീതി എന്നിവയായിരുന്നു. ഇവിടെ പ്രഭാഷണം നടത്തുന്നത് പ്രൊഫസർ നടരാജ് ഹോലിയറാണ്. ചെറുകഥാകൃത്ത്, നോവലിസ്റ്റ്, കോളമിസ്റ്റ്, കവി, വിമർശകൻ എന്നീ നിലകളിൽ അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന പ്രൊഫസർ കർണാടകയിലെ തുങ്കൂർ സ്വദേശിയാണ്. ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ അധ്യക്ഷം വഹിക്കുന്നത് യുവ പ്രഭാഷകൻ ശ്രീ റൂസി മാസ്റ്ററാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ഈ വേദിയിലേക്ക് ഹർഷം സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ നന്ദി പ്രകാശിപ്പിക്കുന്നത് ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ശ്രീ A.T. ശ്രീധരൻ അവർകളാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് സ്വാഗതം പറയുന്നു. On behalf of Gandhi Fest Organization Committee, also on my behalf, Indian and our home welcome to Professor Nadraj Holiar, well-known Gandhian thinker. Please, sir. Thank you very much.
ഈ ചടങ്ങിൽ അധ്യക്ഷത വഹിക്കാനായി ശ്രീ കെ റൂസിയെ ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊള്ളുന്നു.
Respected Nadraj Holiar and dear friends, ഇനിയും എത്തിടാത്ത ജനാധിപത്യത്തിനായുള്ള സമരമാണ് ഗാന്ധി. ഇനിയും എത്തിടാത്ത സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യത്തിനായുള്ള പടയൊരുക്കമാണ് ഗാന്ധി. ഇനിയും എത്തിടാത്ത സ്വരാജിനും സമത്വത്തിനുമായുള്ള സമരമാണ് ഗാന്ധി. അഹിംസയിൽ അധിഷ്ഠിതമായ സർവോദയ സമൂഹമെന്ന മനോഹര സങ്കല്പമാണ് മഹാത്മാഗാന്ധി മുന്നോട്ട് വെച്ചത്. അത് നിശ്ചയമായും സമത്വപൂർണമായ ഒരു സമൂഹമായിരിക്കും. ഭരണകൂട കേന്ദ്രീകൃത സമത്വ ദർശനത്തിനു പകരം ജനകേന്ദ്രീകൃത ജനാധിപത്യ വ്യവസ്ഥയാണ് ഗാന്ധി സ്വപ്നം കണ്ടത്. ജനാധിപത്യമില്ലാത്ത സമത്വമോ സമത്വമില്ലാത്ത സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യമോ സാധ്യമല്ല എന്ന് മഹാത്മജിക്ക് അറിയാമായിരുന്നു. സമത്വവും അന്ത്യോദയവും അഹിംസയും ഗാന്ധിയൻ സാമ്പത്തിക ശാസ്ത്രത്തിൻ്റെയും സാമൂഹ്യ ചിന്തയുടെയും അടിവേരുകളായിരുന്നു. ഏറ്റവും ദരിദ്രനും പാർശ്വവൽക്കരിക്കപ്പെട്ടവനും സമത്വവും നീതിയും ഉറപ്പാക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം അർത്ഥപൂർണമാകുന്നത് എന്ന് ഗാന്ധിജിക്ക് അറിയാമായിരുന്നു. ഉൽപാദന പ്രവർത്തനത്തിൽ ജനാധിപത്യമെന്നാൽ ജനകീയ തലത്തിലുള്ള ഉൽപാദനമാണെന്ന് ആണ് അർത്ഥമാക്കുന്നത് എന്ന് പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ച കുമരപ്പയും ചതുസ്തംഭ രാഷ്ട്രം എന്ന സങ്കല്പം, സപ്തവിപ്ലവം എന്ന സങ്കല്പം മുന്നോട്ട് വെച്ച ലോഹ്യയും ഗാന്ധിയൻ സ്വപ്നങ്ങൾ, ചിന്തകൾ മുന്നോട്ട് നയിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. എൻ്റെ ഭൗതികമായ സുഖഭോഗങ്ങളിൽ ദരിദ്രനായ അയൽക്കാരനോടുള്ള ഹിംസ അന്തർഭവിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ച ഗാന്ധിയുടെ ദർശനത്തെ മുൻനിർത്തി കന്നഡ എഴുത്തുകാരനും ചിന്തകനുമായ നടരാജ ഹുലിയാർ ഗാന്ധി ആൻഡ് സോഷ്യലിസം എന്ന വിഷയം ഈ സെഷനിൽ അവതരിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. In this session we have with us Nataraja Huliyar, the eminent writer, thinker and poet from Karnataka, I with great pleasure invite Nataraja Huliyar to present the paper on Gandhi and socialism.
Thank you, sir. With cheerful applause and great respect, let's invite Dr. Nadraj Huliyar to the stage to deliver his speech on the topic Gandhi and socialism. Sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Am I audible? You can hear me? Yeah. Thank you, Vinod, for this invitation, and also the topic you suggested made me think a bit autobiographically too. As I made notes for this presentation in the morning, a sad news struck me. A very close friend of mine, a fellow writer who wrote with us, passed away 3-4 hours back. He was a synthesis of whatever I am speaking now. He was into Ambedkarism, he was into Gandhism, he was into Lohiyite socialism. I dedicate my speech to my dear friend Mogalli Ganesh, who passed away in the morning. The two philosophies, I would call Gandhism and socialism as philosophies, not closed ideologies. Both are inclusive philosophies. They're not exclusive philosophies. Exclusive philosophies teach you to keep things away, to hate. But inclusive philosophies have their own likes and dislikes. But they don't hate the opposition, the other party. Like all teenagers, I also was cynical of Gandhi. Thanks to Lohia, I reread and rediscovered Gandhi. This is a backward journey. My journey was from socialism into Gandhism. My experience is representative in a sense. Many of the Kannada writers have gone through this backward journey from Lohia to Gandhi, from socialism to Gandhism, like Lankesh or Anantamurthy or Tejasvi, or even Devanur Mahadeva, the founder of Dalit movement. He came from socialism to Gandhism. There is a very interesting factor about the early days of Dalit movement in Karnataka. The founders of Dalit movement, Devanur Mahadev and B. Krishnappa, both of them came from Samajwadi Yujan Sabha. Samajwadi Yujan Sabha was the training center, the laboratory of these future Ambedkarites. Even Siddhalingaya, the fire-spitting poet, came back to Gandhism when he was persecuted. His autobiography, Siddhalingaya's autobiography, though totally different from Gandhi's autobiography, Siddhalingaya was a Marxist, learnt a lot from the autobiographical narrative of Gandhi, which was written 100 years ago. So we'll get back to the Karnataka experience if time permits later. I'll just try to trace through the symbiotic relationship between Gandhism and socialism. Just a recap of historical events in brief. 1930s, many of the socialists here and history students would remember, In 1930s, many young Marxists were in prison, Nasik prison. And there were people who believed in egalitarian society, not Marxists yet. They had their own problems with Marxism also, but they had read Marxism. Marxists and these youngsters thought of a socialism that suits India. They somehow liked Marxism, they somehow liked the class struggle, somehow had problems with Communist Party of India. So they thought they would have a different group. They called themselves as Congress Socialists. See, knowingly or unknowingly, perhaps they declared to themselves, we will be socialists, but we would not be Russian socialists, we would not be Chinese socialists. There are several groups. We will be Indian socialists. For your records, EMS Namboodiripad was also a Congress socialist. He was a congressman, then came to Congress Socialist Party, then of course merged the entire Congress Socialist unit into the Marxist Communist Party India. Later, that is part of history. These youngsters who called themselves Congress Socialists were drawn to Nehru and Gandhi. In fact, Subhash was revolutionary in a sense of evolution, a revolutionary attitude. He was closer to them. Somehow they were drawn to Nehru and Gandhi more than Patel or Subhash Chandra Bose. Nehru charmed them, as he was also a charmer, Nehru, great leader and charmer. He charmed socialists, but socialists were fascinated by Nehru. Even Lohia called him his guru sometime during 1940s. But they understood the kind of potential Gandhi and Gandhism had for the development of evolution of Indian socialism. Lohia once even said Indian socialism can be traced back to Gandhi's idea of Daridra Narayana, privileging the poorest of the poor, seeing the God in poorest of the poor. Of course, that was derived from the Indian philosophies, Indian literature. But Lohia thought, in general, the idea of Daridra Narayana paved way to Indian socialism, and all the socialists were drawn to Gandhian ideas of unto this last, the Sarvodaya, and then the Satyagraha, and also the Charkha, and the idea of means and ends, and the idea of Hindu-Muslim unity. And later, socialists tried to interpret them in their own times. That was later, post-independent, that's in post-independent India. I guess looking back at the historical events, Gandhi did not take socialists seriously in the beginning. He would have thought, I guess, these are cranky people who are very enthusiastic. They would have definitely, but he understood the kind of fire in socialists, I'll come to that later, the kind of honesty they had, the kind of courage they had, the kind of character they had, the kind of truthfulness they had. They came closer to Gandhi when Gandhi was about to give a call to Quit India movement. You remember, all the students of history remember, some in Congress were hesitant to support Gandhi in his clarion call at that time. Even Nehru was hesitant, Maulana was hesitant, Patel was for the call of Quit India. And Lohia was one among the young disciples of Gandhi who persuaded Gandhi to declare the war on the British Empire, asked them to quit India. Incidentally, it was another socialist, Yusuf Maroli, whom we do not remember much today, was the one who gave Gandhi the idea of, the clarion call of do or die. Yusuf Maroli was a student of English literature, very serious student of English literature. And he was suddenly reminded of Tennyson's poem, The Charge of the Brigade, or something like that. There is a line in Tennyson's poem, it's a sad line, there is a tinge of sadness in Tennyson's metaphor. He talks of Crimean War, and he talks of the soldiers who die in the Crimean War and says, theirs is but to do and die. It's a sad statement. Theirs is but to do and die. Whereas Yusuf Merali alters the metaphor and gives this to Gandhi, gives this metaphor to Gandhi, do or die. Gandhi was thrilled. It is recorded in the pages of history. I am told Yusuf Merali was the one who gave the slogan, Simon, go back, in the 1920s. 1942, we all remember when all the Congress leaders were arrested. No one left on the ground. Top leaders were not left on the ground. History, that was the strange turn of Indian history. People were asked to be the leaders of themselves. August Revolution, as Lohia puts it, is in a true sense people's revolution. People became the leaders. People took the agitation into their hands. So it was history that made the socialists to lead the Quit India movement. I'm not saying only socialists led it. There were Gandhians who were outside the prison, who were part of this agitation. And there were communist cadres, because Communist Party of India had its own problem with the Quit India movement, but there were communist cadres across India, cadres who participated in Quit India movement, and there were other sectors also, and socialists had to take up where Gandhi was forced to stop. We all know the story later. JP was already in jail. Lohia, Achyut Patwardhan, Arun Asaf Ali, they all went underground. They started, taking the lead. Gandhi, in that juncture, Lohia had a problem with the idea of ahimsa, non-violence. So in the thick of those events, he tried to define ahimsa, non-violence. In his own terms, he said, if you are looting the post office, this happened in Maniktala post office loot. People went to Maniktala post office and they ransacked it. Lohia says, nobody should be harmed in this attack, number one. Number two, this public money, even a single paisa of the public money, should not be used for the private purpose. So this is how Lohia was forced to redefine, ahimsa in those times. Of course, JP took recourse into, armed struggle for a moment in Nepal. Later, he had to come back to Gandhian way. Actually, Lohia also goes to Nepal to join Azad Daste, but there are no instances, there is no proof that Lohia was trained in armed struggle. He actually goes and joins, the JP in Nepal, and Lohia and JP were arrested, and they, get out of the jail in a dramatic way. That's a different story altogether. Lohia and JP were brutally tortured in Lahore jail. So was Achyutanand Menon, so was Ramanandan Mishra. If you look at the kind of tortures that the colonial government experimented on the Indian freedom fighters, especially socialists, I wonder, the colonial government has made India, especially Lahore fort, as a laboratory of violence on the Indian freedom struggle. Because everybody is in jail. Who are these 4 or 5 people or 6 people? A bunch of socialists. They didn't even know they were socialists. In police records, in the archival records, they are still recorded as congressmen. they are still recorded as a congressman called JP, a congressman called Ram Manohar Lohia, a congressman called Achyuta Menon. These are the archival records of the British history where they are called Congress people and not socialists. But when they were released from jail, when they were about to be released from jail, they were not released yet. Gandhi was released, everybody was released. Gandhi issues a statement. It would not be an exaggeration, not that Gandhi did not exaggerate. Sometime there are occasions where Gandhi would also exaggerate to keep people in good humor. But when the British government did not release Lohia and JP, Gandhi issues a statement demanding their release and says, I have not seen the bravest people, I have not seen the braver people than Lohia and JP till now. This is Gandhi on record. By then, JP and Lohia, they were very close to Gandhi. Gandhi was fond of socialists. Maybe also because, like Gandhi, they were not after power. Like Gandhi, socialists were also not greedy for power at that particular juncture. So Gandhi actually, tells socialists, why do you fall sick so often? Come to ashram, I'll nurse all of you. He tells Sampurnananda and others, you're falling sick, you should all come to ashram, I'll nurse you back to normal health. So this is the kind of Gandhi had with Lohia, and also records clearly say Gandhi had lost faith in Congress by then because he wanted Congress to continue as Lok Sevak Sangh, because Congress was born for a different purpose according to Gandhi. Gandhi wanted to form a nucleus of socialists by then. Gandhi wanted to have a small nucleus of socialists within within the Congress, and he speaks to Lohia about it. See, if my presentation has an accent on Lohia, you should forgive me because I am trained in Lohite socialism and I am a student of Lohite literature and also history. Somehow, insisted that I should edit all of his books, which I am doing still. And right now, I have just finished Lohia's biography of about 400 pages, and finishing those pages and giving those pages to the final page making, I came to Kerala with a happy note that I did something in Lohite literature. Coming back to Lohia, Gandhi was so closer to Lohia, he started asking personal questions also to Gandhi. Gandhi asked him, why do you smoke? Why do you have so much of tea? Why do you drink tea? All these questions actually embarrassed Lohia. So these are the problems which Gandhians have even today with us. Whether this fellow smokes, this fellow has cigarette, this fellow has liquor, and these things keep bothering Gandhians even today in Karnataka, even in India. But Gandhi had a different intention. He asked Lohia to quit smoking. He even suggests Japanese method or Chinese method to quit smoking. It so happens, see, Lohia was a heavy tea drinker. Lohia did not drink, so he has his own habit of drinking. Let me tell you, Lohia said, there is no point in drinking in India. When I am abroad, I have drunk. He has tasted all kinds of wines when he was abroad, and he would not drink when he was in India. This is another stand-up Lohia. Let us not go into it. When Gandhi insists that Lohia should quit smoking, Lohia quits smoking. And one thing strikes Lohia, it might strike to you and me also. If a great person tells you something so insistently, with such insistence, I think there must be something in it. I think he wants me to do something else. Lohia stops smoking cigarette. And Gandhi actually was baffled. Gandhi asked another question to Lohia. Do you believe in God? Lohia was an atheist, not an agnostic. He was an atheist, which he himself has recorded. He says, I don't believe in God. Gandhi is baffled. How can you be a satyagrahi if you don't believe in God? Lohia does not answer. He says Bapu and keeps quiet. Later Gandhi says, who knows? Even someone who does not believe in God may become a good satyagrahi. See, Gandhi resigns to the fact. Gandhi accepts this fact that an atheist could be a satyagrahi. A non-believer can be a satyagrahi. Lohia actually, if I decode the whole thing, Lohia has transformed Gandhi at once. Towards the end of it. Last day, when Gandhi was about to be killed, assassinated, 2 days before, he wanted to talk to Lohia and he says, I want to do something to your party. I think Gandhi had a bigger intention, bigger idea for Congress Socialist Party, I guess, but it was not to be. There is a biographer who says that particular night, in the wee hours of January 30, between 1930 and 29, actually Gandhi goes to Lohia's room where he is asleep and he comes back. This is what a biographer, Masram Kapoor, records in it. We don't know what Gandhi wanted to tell Lohia. We don't know what Gandhi had in his mind for Congress Socialist Party. We didn't know what structure Gandhi wanted to give to Congress Socialists. Now it is it's a foregone thing, and we can only speculate. Once Gandhi exited, Lohia suddenly feels, now I am free to do anything I want. It's a psychological thing. It is said, even Sartre says, a son is free only when the father dies. It is not to kill the father. The father who actually becomes a dictator within somebody, if he is no more, the son, I would apply it to the daughter also. The daughter is free once the mother is eliminated. Mother's dictatorship is eliminated, or father's dictatorship is eliminated. Not that they are dictators. The kind of dictation a senior has, must have made psychologists or philosophers to say, these things. Nevertheless, Lohia felt he was free to do anything he wanted. But with freedom comes responsibility. Lohia never thought he would become an interpreter of Gandhi, perhaps never thought he would become a socialist interpreter, never thought he would become a perhaps theorist of socialism. But it was thrust upon him. History thrusts upon him that he should be theorist. What Lohia did was to revisit Gandhi. That's how he gives 3 dictums: spade, prison, and oath. They are reworked ideas of Gandhi. Spade, prison, oath. Gandhi could not think of oath yet because it was pre-independent India when Gandhi thought of his concepts. Lohia adds, prison, and which he does umpty number of times. He goes to prison even after independence. We all know that, and he calls himself Sapphire Nama, Sapphire and Minor. We are the ones. This is what he tells of socialists. We are the ones who prepare the way for, we prepare the path for change. We are the ones who prepare the path for revolution. We are the ones who prepare path for, any decisive change. So he calls himself Sapphire Maina, Sapphire and Minor. These are the English words. He does a Hindi version of it, and he says Sapphire Maina. Lohia redefines Charka. For Gandhi also, Charka was materially true. Charka was also a symbol. Charka was also a metaphor. Lohia treats Charka as a metaphor of small unit machine, which is affordable to everybody in the village, affordable to a village woman, a rural woman, everybody. Lohia redefines non-violence. It happens in Kerala, if you remember. when Pattamtanu Pillai's government, ordered for Golibar in Travancore, Cochin area, Lohia opposed it because a socialist government should never resort to Golibar on their own agitators. Only when they take recourse to violence, you can do it, but not when they are agitating peacefully. Lohia demands resignation of his own government, if you remember, because that was the first socialist government led by Pattamtanu Pillai, of course supported by the Congress. Congress withdraws and the government falls later. But Lohia resigns on the ground that his party took recourse into the Golibar. Lohia redefined the temple entry movement also. There is a hitch, there is an issue that crops up when there is a temple entry movement in Kashi, Varanasi. By then, Ambedkar had given up the idea of temple entry movement because we had to capture the centers of power, not the temples, and Ambedkar had dropped that idea after the early temple entry movement. But socialists took it up in Varanasi. Rajnarayan declares fast. Lohia was not for fast unto death. Lohia even, jovially would say, only if you die, it has some means. Fast unto death would be irrelevant if you come back alive. So Lohia has his own skepticism about fast unto death. Nevertheless, what Lohia suggests is, socialists should form a human chain around the Kashi temple and request Savarnas not to go to temple where Dalits are not allowed. This is one point where Lohia attempts the kind of Hruday Parivartan, change of heart of Gandhi, but soon he realizes that this would not work because the caste violence is deeper and deeper, and Socialist Party will have to think of different modes to eradicate caste. That's where which Gandhi could, of course, Gandhi theoretically said all castes are equal, etc., etc., and Gandhi never believed in caste, and Sabarmati Ashram was a center where caste practice was abolished, but Lohia thought, like Ambedkar, this has to be struck at the level of the roots. This has to be annihilated systematically, economically, methodically, scientifically, at the level of the mind and at the level of economics. So he suggested preferential treatment, and so he suggested, reservation, and so he suggested backward class reservation, and all these things did not stem from Gandhism, but these were broad ideas of Gandhi, which were later developed into, specific socialist, scientific, economic, programs. Even an idea like truth was revisited often and often by socialists and even JP and Lohia. When I stand and look back at the 25th year of the 21st century, what does truth really mean? For Lohia, telling the truth is indivisible. Whether you talk to a friend, talk to a boy, talk to a girl, whether you address a meeting, whether you write a book review, whether you do an analysis of political events, whether you do an analysis of the myths, you would be speaking the truth. There is nothing like strategy. There is nothing like strategic truth. There is nothing like telling the truth ideologically or with calculation. You will present the truth as you see it. This is the truth, the idea of truth, concept of truth, revisited and reworked, by Lohia. Of course, some of you and many others would often pose a question to Lohia. Lohia was too critical of Nehru. That's right, he was too critical. But in Lohiya's idea of telling the truth and being critical, is being critical. In being critical, there is nothing like partially critical, being partially critical. There is nothing like half critical. See, after 20, there are people, so just to give a contemporary example, some of the people outside might always feel Rahul Gandhi is critiquing Narendra Modi too much. Same thing in history would have happened when Lohia critiqued, Nehru. I'm not comparing Rahul and Lohia at all, but the kind of language Rahul is using and Rahul will have to use must come from Nehru's Bettenayar, Lohia. Our JP's ideas, our socialist ideas always work better when they are in opposition, when they are in the opposing system. Even Gandhism, Lohia once said, Gandhism is powerful outside the government. Gandhism powerful as an opposing force than in the government. While Marxism could be powerful both in the government and outside the government because it has its own structure. And Lohia said, when asked whether he was a Marxist, when asked whether he was a pro-Marx or anti-Marx, Lohia said, I am neither anti-Marx nor pro-Marx. He said, it will be foolish to be a Gandhian and as foolish as being a Marxian. I cannot be both, I am myself. Okay, just a speculative issue. When Nehru was powerful, when nobody could dislodge Nehru, Lohia came up with an idea of non-Congressism, which is much debated. You all know that. Hypothetically, I guess, Gandhi would not have approved Lohia's idea of non-Congressism because it's a negative idea, non-Congressism. See, people like us who are thinking, have been developing this idea of non-BJPism for the past 20 years or so. No, if you ask Gandhi, he would have given you something positive to take on the monster. This is what I, guess Gandhi would have gone to the people, addressed the people, and he would not have brought parties of several kinds of ideologies together. Of course, Lohia knew this in 1967. Jansang tried to defeat him. That's how he won with a narrow margin of 400 plus votes in that particular election. Though Jansang helped him in 1963 or so, it never helped him in 1967. They wanted to defeat him also, and by then Lohia had realized his idea, the futile idea of non-Congressism. When George and Madhu Lemieux questions him about non-Congressism, Lohia says, this is one juncture I felt Lohia was not truthful. Lohia said, non-Congressism is not a philosophy, that's right, but it's a war strategy. Gandhi would not have approved of it. Lohia, 2 or 3 years before that, would not have approved of it. Lohia, even in politics, would not do anything or many things strategically. He said this war strategy, somehow, I'm picked, reading, this. Nevertheless, history once again was repeated, and JP came with non-Congressism once again, and causing a big blunder. These are upheavals of history. We cannot sit on judgment about these events in history, but once again one has to rethink of this non-Congressism or non-BJPism, or do we think of something positive, something constructive against the monster you have, something you can't defeat? Can we do it with a different philosophy, a different ideology, is a question before us. So last part, because we're running out of time, in the last part, very briefly, I'll come to the Karnataka experience, which I'm familiar with. Karnataka is one of the states where natural synthesis of Gandhism and socialism happened. A very natural synthesis. Most socialists had not many quarrels with Gandhism. And when the socialists formed the Mano Mantapa, the Forum for Intercaste Marriages in Karnataka, a Gandhian, Satyavrata, who lived in Sabarmati Ashram, was the head of it, was the chairman of it. Socialists with Gandhians, they went along quite well, and they were also one in the Dalit movement, and of course you all know about Shantweri Gopal Gowda's kind of synthesis of Lohiaism and Gandhism later when he spoke in Vidhan Sauda. And very interestingly, the socialist program, of course it was a communist program also, land for the tiller. The slogan was raised by the communists first, then socialists carried it further, and it came into being. It became it was enacted in Karnataka when there was a Congress government. This is only to suggest to you how the later governments had to listen to socialists, had to listen to Lohia, had to listen to socialist programs, because B.P. Mandal was Lohia's follower. When socialists came to power in 1978, the first thing they did was, one of the first things they did was to appoint the backward classes commission under the chairmanship of Mandal. Mandal gave the commission report, and later VP Singh tried to implement it. It was the Congress government later, led by Narsim Rao, which had to implement the Mandal Commission. Look how, history, which has happened just before us, has picked up the ideas of socialism. It has to pick up the idea of socialism. When Yogendra Yadav tried to formulate the manifesto of Arvind Kejriwal's then Aam Aadmi Party, he actually brought in many ideas of socialism into the manifesto, but he was not, Arvind Kejriwal did not have that kind of timber to understand the politics of socialism. He would have gone really a long way, because he seldom spoke the idea of social justice. He thought the middle class appeasement would continue in power, which he failed. So what I meant to say was, socialists always raised, not always, often, let us not be very fanatic, often raised relevant questions, often raised relevant slogans, which gradually became the natural choice of the Indian society. The idea of social justice raised by Ambedkar or Lohi or JP or Medu Masani, or even Nehru later, became a natural choice of the country. That's why we may have to listen to socialists or Lohia once again to raise the right questions, the right ideas. And lastly, the last part of it, Kannada Navya literature was richly benefited by Lohia and Gopal Gowda. This is only suggests to you how an individual, how a socialist individual could make a difference. Because socialism believed in individual also. Unlike other creeds, it did not believe only in masses. It believed in the strength of the individual, strength of one's self. It is Lohia once defined the strength of Gandhi. It's an excellent definition of Gandhi. He said, even when you do not have a mass of people behind you, even when you do not have the assistance of the armaments, each one of you will have the strength to take on the system. This is what Gandhi taught each of us. The kind of individual strength Gandhi taught was of course imbibed by the socialists, and of course imbibed by several in Kannada literatures, and it continued, and a very, very strange synthesis of socialism and Ambedkarism happened in the Dalit movement. And lastly, and in the last decade, another important event happened in Karnataka. Sarvodaya Karnataka political party was launched with a synthesis of Lohiaism and Ambedkarism. Of course, Gandhi was very much there in the party because the party is called Sarvodaya Karnataka, led by, it has a lone MLA in Karnataka Assembly today, and history moves forward as it goes on. So, not that socialists did not have many questions on Gandhism. They had one important question they had of Gandhians was, Gandhians after Gandhi gave up Gandhi's principle of anger, retained only Gandhi's principle of love. Lohi always said, the principle of love should be synthesized with the principle of love of Gandhi, and that is where you see a stronger leader, who take on the establishment. So, socialists taught us, like Gandhi, taught me at least, to have a mind without fear. They taught us an individual, if he is morally right, if he could raise the right questions, whether he wins or not, he could take on the establishment, he could take on the society. I think with that hope, one or two, move on. We have come a long way in the synthesis of two inclusive philosophies. I reiterate it, I emphasize it. These inclusive philosophies are still open. A Meda Patkar can experiment it, or an Anna Hazare can misuse it. That has also happened in the recent history of India. Even an Advani can go on fast. Even an Atal Bihari Vajpayee can go on fast. But when Atal Bihari was in crisis, he went and fasted before the Gandhi statue. This is the kind of bizarre things that happen in the post-Gandhian era too. I would not say socialists whose era ended, those socialists whose era ended in 1970s would not mark the end of socialism, because it is still open. With Schumacher, it comes back. With environmentalists, it comes back. With new generation taking up causes, it comes back. With new idea of secularism, it comes back. With new idea of issues related to annihilation of caste or casteless society or secular society, socialism keeps coming back. So I thank you for this opportunity. And lastly, I'm very proud listening to Vinod yesterday that 5,000 school students participated in the Gandhi quiz. Very, very redeem factor for me coming from Karnataka, because such a thing should keep happening. Is there a prize for the top in the 5,000? Is there a prize for the top student? For the top, the first top student, I would announce 10,000 rupees cash prize. Ramadika. Thank you very much.
താങ്ക് യു സർ. പ്രൊഫസർ നടരാജ് ഹൂലിയാർ അവതരിപ്പിച്ച ഗഹന സമ്പുഷ്ടമായ ഗാന്ധിയൻ്റെ സോഷ്യലിസം എന്ന വിഷയത്തിൻ്റെ രത്നച്ചുരുക്കം നമുക്ക് പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുന്നത് ഡോക്ടർ മഹേഷ് മംഗലാട്ട്. പ്ലീസ് സർ.
നമസ്കാരം. ഒരു സംഗ്രഹം അവതരിപ്പിക്കുമ്പോൾ അതിനകത്ത് എൻ്റെ ആലോചനകളും വ്യാഖ്യാനങ്ങളും കടന്നു വരാതിരിക്കാൻ ഞാൻ പോയിന്റുകൾ മാത്രമായിട്ട് പറയുകയാണ്. ഗാന്ധിസം, സോഷ്യലിസം എന്നിവ രണ്ട് പ്രത്യയശാസ്ത്രങ്ങളായല്ല, രണ്ട് തത്വചിന്തകളായാണ് ഞാൻ കാണുന്നത് എന്ന ആമുഖത്തോടെയാണ് പ്രൊഫസർ നടരാജ ഹൂലിയ പ്രസൻറ്റേഷൻ ആരംഭിക്കുന്നത്. ലോഹിയിൽ നിന്ന് ഗാന്ധിയിലേക്കുള്ള അന്വേഷണമായാണ് ഗാന്ധിയുടെ കാലത്തിന് ശേഷം പല അന്വേഷണങ്ങളും, പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട അന്വേഷണങ്ങളും ഉണ്ടാകുന്നത്. ഗാന്ധിയിൽ നിന്ന് ലോഹിയിലേക്കല്ല, തിരിച്ച് ലോഹിയിൽ നിന്ന് ഗാന്ധിയിലേക്കാണ്. 1930 നാസിക്കിലെ തടവറയിൽ മാർക്സിസ്റ്റ് ചിന്തകരായിട്ടുള്ള നിരവധി പേർ തടവിലായപ്പോൾ അവരുടെ ആലോചനകളിൽ നിന്നാണ് ഇന്ത്യക്ക് അനുയോജ്യമായ ഗാന്ധിയൻ രീതികളുമായുള്ള ദേശീയ സമര പ്രസ്ഥാനവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ള രീതികൾക്ക് അനുയോജ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ഇന്ത്യൻ സോഷ്യലിസം എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ആശയം ഉണ്ടാവുകയും ആശയത്തിന് വ്യക്തത ഉണ്ടാവുകയും കോൺഗ്രസ് സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടി എന്ന ഒരു സംഘടന രൂപം കൊള്ളുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ലോഹ്യ തൻ്റെ ആശയങ്ങൾ രൂപീകരിക്കുന്നതിന് അടിസ്ഥാനമായി ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഗാന്ധിയൻ പരികൽപ്പന ദരിദ്രനാരായണൻ എന്നതാണ്. ഗാന്ധി തുടക്കത്തിൽ സോഷ്യലിസത്തെയോ സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റുകാരെയോ ഗൗരവമായി കണക്കിലെടുത്തിരുന്നില്ല. കാലക്രമത്തിൽ ഗാന്ധിജിയുടെ നിലപാടുകളിൽ മാറ്റം ഉണ്ടാവുന്നുണ്ട്. അതിലൊരു നിർണായകമായ പങ്ക് വഹിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരാൾ ഇന്ന് വളരെയധികം ഒന്നും ഓർമ്മിക്കപ്പെടാത്ത യൂസഫ് മെഹ്റലിയാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രേരണയിലാണ്, അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രഖ്യാപനമായിട്ടുള്ള ഡു ഓർ ഡൈ, പ്രവർത്തിക്കുക അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മരിക്കുക എന്ന ഒരു മുദ്രാവാക്യം ഉയരുന്നത്. 1942 ദേശീയ പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തിൻ്റെ വലിയ നേതാക്കന്മാർ മുഴുവൻ തടവിലാക്കപ്പെട്ടപ്പോൾ, ഗാന്ധി, നെഹ്റു ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ള മുഴുവൻ നേതാക്കന്മാരും തടവിലാക്കപ്പെട്ടപ്പോൾ ദേശീയ പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തിൻ്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിലേക്ക് സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റുകാർ വരികയും അവരതിനെ നയിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ക്വിറ്റ് ഇന്ത്യ സമരത്തിൻ്റെ കാലഘട്ടമാണ്. ഈ ഘട്ടത്തിൽ ലോഹ്യ വ്യക്തമായി നൽകുന്ന ഒരു നിർദ്ദേശം, അത് അഹിംസയുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ഒരു നിർദ്ദേശമാണ്. സമരങ്ങളിൽ, പോരാട്ടങ്ങളിൽ ഒരു കാരണവശാലും ഒരാൾ പോലും കൊല്ലപ്പെടുന്ന അവസ്ഥ ഉണ്ടാവരുത്. ഈ കാലം ആവുമ്പോഴേക്കും ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന രാഷ്ട്രീയ മാറ്റങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ട് തൻ്റെ ഉറ്റ അനുയായികളായ കോൺഗ്രസ്സുകാരെക്കാൾ ഗാന്ധിജിക്ക് പ്രിയങ്കരായിരിക്കുകയും കൂടുതൽ വിശ്വാസം ഉണ്ടാവുകയും ചെയ്തിരുന്നത് കോൺഗ്രസ് സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തിൽപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകളുമായാണ്. ഗാന്ധിജി വധിക്കപ്പെടുന്നതിൻ്റെ തൊട്ട് 2 ദിവസം മുമ്പ് ലോഹിയുമായി ആശയവിനിമയം നടത്തുമ്പോൾ അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞു, ഐ വാണ്ട് ടു ഡു സംതിങ് ഫോർ യുവർ പാർട്ടി എന്നാണ്. സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രവർത്തനവുമായും അതിൻ്റെ പരിപാടികളുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുള്ള വളരെ വ്യക്തമായ ചില ആശയങ്ങൾ, സങ്കല്പങ്ങൾ ഗാന്ധിജി ആ സമയമാകുമ്പോഴേക്കും രൂപപ്പെടുത്തിയിരുന്നു എന്നും ആണ് നമുക്കിതിൽ നിന്ന് അനുമാനിക്കാവുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം. സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യാനന്തര കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ വിവിധ പരിപാടികൾ ആസൂത്രണം ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴും ഭരണഘടനയുടെ രൂപകൽപ്പനയിലും ഒക്കെ ലോഹിയും അംബേദ്കറും ഒക്കെയായുള്ള ആശയവിനിമയങ്ങളിലും സംവാദങ്ങളിലും ഒക്കെ ഗാന്ധിയുടെ വിശാലമായ ആശയങ്ങളുടെ പ്രായോഗിക രൂപങ്ങൾ സാധ്യമാക്കാനുള്ള ശ്രമങ്ങൾ ആണ് നടന്നിട്ടുള്ളത് എന്ന് കാണാം. അത് ദലിത് പിന്നോക്ക അവശ വിഭാഗങ്ങൾക്കായുള്ള സംവരണവും സാമൂഹിക നീതിയെ സംബന്ധിക്കുന്ന ആശയങ്ങളുമൊക്കെ ഇതിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായി കാണാം. പ്രഭാഷണത്തിൻ്റെ രണ്ടാം ഭാഗം കർണാടക എക്സ്പീരിയൻസിനെ പറ്റിയാണ്. കർണാടകത്തിലെ സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തിൻ്റെ നായകന്മാരിൽ ഒരാളായ ശാന്തവരി ഗോപാൽ ഗൗഡ ആണ് കൃഷിഭൂമി കർഷകർക്ക് എന്ന മുദ്രാവാക്യം ഉയർത്തിക്കൊണ്ടുള്ള കർഷക പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തെ നയിച്ചിരുന്നത്. സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റുകാരുടെ ആശയങ്ങൾ കേൾക്കുകയും ലോഹിയേറ്റുകളെ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ളത് കർണാടകത്തിലെ ഗവൺമെൻറ്റുകൾക്ക് എല്ലാ കാലവും വേണ്ടി വന്ന ഒരു കാര്യമായിരുന്നു. ആ രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു പ്രത്യയശാസ്ത്രപരമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു മേധാവിത്വം കർണാടകത്തിൻ്റെ മണ്ണിൽ സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റുകാർക്ക് ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കുവാനുള്ള ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കാരണം അവർ ശരിയായ ചോദ്യങ്ങൾ ശരിയായ സമയത്ത് വ്യക്തമായി ഉയർത്തിയിരുന്നു എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. നിർഭയമായ മനസ്സോടുകൂടി ധീരമായി ചോദ്യങ്ങൾ ഉന്നയിക്കുകയും അതിനുവേണ്ടി ശക്തമായി നിലകൊള്ളുകയും ചെയ്യുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് പ്രസ്ഥാനത്തിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായുള്ളവർ കർണാടകത്തിൽ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. താങ്ക് യു.
താങ്ക് യു സാർ. അടുത്തതായി ഈ സെഷനിലുള്ള കൃതജ്ഞത അറിയിക്കാനായി ശ്രീ A.T. ശ്രീധരൻ അവർകളെ സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു.
വേദിയിലും സദസ്സിലുമിരിക്കുന്ന ബഹുമാന്യ വ്യക്തികളെ, പ്രിയപ്പെട്ടവരെ, ഒക്ടോബർ 2 ഗാന്ധി ജയന്തി ദിനത്തിൽ വടകര ഗാന്ധി പ്രതിമയ്ക്ക് മുമ്പിൽ വിളംബര ഗാഥയോടുകൂടി ആരംഭിച്ച ഗാന്ധി ഫെസ്റ്റ് 3-ാം ദിവസത്തിലേക്ക് ഇന്ന് സമാപിക്കുക. ജനങ്ങളുടെ ശ്രദ്ധ പിടിച്ചു പറ്റിയ ഒരു പൊതുപരിപാടി എന്ന നിലയ്ക്ക് ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ 3 ദിവസമായി ജനപങ്കാളിത്തം കൊണ്ട് തന്നെ വളരെ ശ്രദ്ധപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. ഗാന്ധിജിയെപ്പറ്റി പ്രഗത്ഭരായിരിക്കുന്ന ആളുകൾ ഇവിടെ നിരവധി പ്രഭാഷണം നടത്തിക്കഴിഞ്ഞു. ഇവിടെ 9-ാം സെഷനിലേക്ക് കടക്കുകയാണ്. ഇവിടെ ഗാന്ധി ആൻഡ് സോഷ്യലിസം എന്ന വിഷയം ഇവിടെ അവതരിപ്പിച്ച പ്രൊഫസർ നടരാജ് ഹുലിയാറിന് സംഘാടക സമിതിയുടെ പേരിൽ ഞാൻ ആദ്യമായിട്ട് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് നന്ദി പറയുകയാണ്. പ്രസംഗം സംഗമം ചെയ്ത ഡോക്ടർ മഹേഷ് മംഗലാർ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനും അധ്യക്ഷം വഹിച്ച കെ റൂസിക്കും സ്വാഗതം പറഞ്ഞ ശ്രീ M. ബാലകൃഷ്ണൻ, അതുപോലെ ഇപ്പോൾ ഉപകാര സമർപ്പണം നടത്താൻ വേണ്ടി ഇപ്പോൾ ശശികുമാർ തുടങ്ങിയവർക്കും, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ പരിപാടി പങ്കെടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് സമ്പുഷ്ടമാക്കിയിരിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവർക്കും സംഘാടക സമിതിയുടെ നന്ദി രേഖപ്പെടുത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾ അവസാനിപ്പിക്കുന്നു. അഭിവാദ്യം.
താങ്ക് യു സർ. പ്രൊഫസർ നടരാജ് ഹൂലിയാറെ നാം ആദരിക്കുന്നു. ഉപഹാര സമർപ്പണം കെ ശശികുമാർ.
Thank you, Professor Nadraj Huliar. Your speech on the topic Gandhi and Socialism sometimes becomes the keynote of this unique program, Gandhi Fest. When Gandhi later on accepts socialism as a main thought, what should we wait for and why should we? The whole Vadagra is so proud to initiate dialogues, discussions, criticism and interactions towards a better awareness of positive inclusiveness of different thoughts. For Gandhi, as we knew, truth is a multifaceted diamond which reflects the same light. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for mentioning the great works and competitions for connecting the young with Gandhi. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
ഉടനെ തന്നെ ലഞ്ച് ബ്രേക്കാണ്. കൃത്യം 2:30